What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Breakdown Podcast. I'm the host, Anthony Cavan. Today, we are joined by professional sprinter Mason Phillips. Mason qualified for the 2024 Olympic trials and is one of the fastest athletes in the country. We talked about his journey into sprinting, what it takes to perform at an elite level, the mindset behind racing the 100 meters, his experience at the 2024 Olympic trials, and a ton of other super cool and interesting topics. So without any further ado, let's get straight to it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mason Phillips.
Hey man, I appreciate you being here with me today, taking the time. I'm sure you got a very busy schedule, so we'll try to get right into it, man. How you feeling?
Man, I'm good. It's a blessed day,
Yeah,
just living, man. You?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Yeah, I hit my little cardio, little workout circuit this morning, so I'm feeling good. Before we get on here, got to get the emotions and everything out. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I'll get right into it. We're beginning the year here, first Saturday of the year. How do your weekends usually look?
Man, usually my weekends, at least this time of the year, they're pretty chill. I don't really do much, hang out with family, friends. But this upcoming weekend, January 10th, man, it's first competition, U of M. So just getting primed and ready, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I love to hear that. So I was gonna ask, you obviously with we'll try to keep it simple here without getting into super the weeds of it. But
Hmm.
for if you were explaining it just to like a casual fan, obviously your in season blocks and training periods are going to be vastly different from your off season because you're trying to peak at certain times. So how since you're in season now, how does a typical training week look for you?
Man, so a usual training week now that I'm in season, it's actually less vigorous, in terms of like fall training when you're, just getting primed and ready, you're in the off season. Um, it's it's a lot less vigorous in season because you don't want to be tired for, any upcoming meets, but you still want to get, some high impact training sessions in. So, you might want to do 200s, you need to get into the weight room and just a lot of that. So we try to just um, put a lot of maintenance on the body and get it primed and ready for each weekend, man.
Yeah, and I'm with the event, especially what you're in, 100
Yeah,
meter sprints, 60 meters. Well, um, it's kind of like almost like, you got the triple jump, you got the long jumps.
yeah.
These are very high impact events. What does your injury prevention look like?
Oh man, it's one thing that my coach harps on a lot. I train at Madonna University with Stacy Latney, and one thing that he makes us do is mobility. And it's one of the smallest things, at least for me. I was never big into stretching and doing mobility, going to the training room, but one thing that he's you know, made us do is mobility. You want to get the little things intact to make sure your body's ready to sprint, ready to do those high volume movements to explode out of the blocks, man. And mobility is one thing that I do for injury prevention as well as hydration. It's one of the smaller things, and I think it's something we don't even think about often, but man, staying hydrated and making sure the body uh is able to be elastic and do those movements at a high rate, man. It's huge. And then man, I gotta add sleep. Sleep is huge. If you don't got sleep, then your body's not ready. It's not ready to compete. So yeah, those are my top three ways to like get primed and ready for any competition and to stay healthy.
Yeah, yeah, it's great you mentioned sleep at the very end.
Yeah.
I was watching a podcast probably a couple months ago, and I saw I think it was Lance Armstrong had actually said it, and he was like, if
Mm,
sleep could be bottled up and put into like a medicine tube and you could inject it, it would be considered a PED because like how
man,
actually, yeah, it's like how important that is.
I'm
So
serious.
and of course you've we'll get into it, but Olympic trial qualifying, you're a professional athlete now. Um, it's more and more nowadays. It's
Mhm.
becoming professional in high school and college. Were you always moving like a professional, or was that something you kind of had to grow into?
It's definitely something I had to grow into. I was always athletic. I always had that type of ability to, do some really impressive things. But man, let me tell you, uh, freshman year of high school, I was 4'11", 98 pounds, man, and I had no like real future of sports. I played football for about 11 years, and it was either football or nothing else. And it wasn't until my senior year of high school where I really, I grew. I was probably about 5'10", 160. And, from that point on, I ended up doing track for 1 year, man, and ended up getting a bunch of different offers. And a lot of scouts came my way. And it's something you do have to grow into sometimes. It's not always going to be an immediate there's not always going to be immediate results, and I think a lot of us look for immediate results, immediate dopamine in that moment, but sometimes it takes time to get to those goals, to get where you want, man. So I definitely say I had to grow into it. It's not a process that was overnight, but it was years, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, where you're at now, I'm sure you can even look at it like it was a blessing almost because, like you just touched on that immediate dopamine. Sometimes guys that are late bloomers, they have to work go that extra mile. So they have to be taught that, that work ethic early
Oh
on,
yeah.
so it can help you later on in your career, which it clearly has. Um,
Yeah. 100%, man.
yeah.
Um,
So, you talked about you were 160 your senior year.
oh yeah.
Um, yeah, and I've seen a lot of sprinters now. I mean, there's differing opinions, but I've seen a lot of sprinters now saying that they actually run their fastest times at their heaviest weights. Of course, there's a whole thing that goes behind that with the power to weight ratio.
Yeah.
How do you look at that? Like, how do you try to control your weight? What do you like to have at your race weight?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Man, it's funny you bring that up is I'm trying to at least lose a little bit of weight now. Right now I'm probably about 180 or so. And it's not terrible, especially, you know, in regards to my height and stuff like that. But I'd say how I try to control that, man, is just eating the right things. It's as simple as that. And I know it's not something we always like to hear, but especially around the holidays, we're eating whatever we want, man. And I can say for myself, I've not been the most disciplined in that area, but there's always room for improvement, man. So I'd say just eating the right things, man, and just staying disciplined. It's not just being disciplined on the track, but it's being disciplined outside of your sport. You know, it really shows how much you love a sport on the lengths you're willing to go to be the best at it. So, yeah, man, I'd say that. Um, yeah.
No doubt, man. I mean, especially I think that's really, I mean, again, you can speak to this, but I think that's really what separates like the guys that are just really, really good in college or whatever to the guys that are just pros. It's genuinely just a lot of the time it's just discipline, how much you actually love it, how much, what you're willing to sacrifice. Because a lot of these guys they can put in the work, but then they need that stress reliever. So they go to the club, they might smoke the weed, they drink.
Mm,
So I think that's a big part of it as well as the sacrifices you make. Um,
yeah,
yeah, so I want to get right
100%.
into basically your early life. You said you played football. What position were we playing at?
Man,
And what was that like?
yeah, yeah. I was man, early football, I was playing running back, and it was my life, man. My dad would always take me out to just this big park that we had near our house, and he would just toss the football. He'd make me do drills, and we'd be out there from like 6 o'clock to eight o'clock, man, just doing all these different drills and honing the sport. But during that time, it was nothing but football and just straight hard work out in the sun, day in, day out. I didn't have that typical childhood of like just going and doing whatever I want, playing the game all day. A lot of it had to do with just spending time with my dad and honing what I love.
Yeah. Yeah, and so now we're in high school, and you said obviously you had that late bloomer phase, at what point, because you said it was just football or track, really, at what
Yeah,
point did you start leaning more towards track?
man. So I decided to do track my sophomore year. Oh, my freshman year. And, I thought I was faster than I was. And I was getting smoked out there, man. Being 4'11", 98 pounds, you weren't doing much out there. So I did that for my freshman year. And then my sophomore year, I got a lot faster. I got a lot bigger, but I was ineligible. And man, my dad had just bought me track spikes to go out and run track. And then I had to go home and tell him I can't even run. So that entire year, didn't run track. My junior year, didn't run track. And after my last year of football, senior year, I just was like, I have no offers. I have no interest. I have one more shot. And after that, man, I started to lean more into track as my last resort to do something in college because if I wasn't going to do a sport in college, then I don't think I was going to college flat out. So, yeah, by my senior year, I just was like, I'm going all in. And man, the Lord really blessed me in that. I'll say that.
Yeah. So you were still playing football your senior year?
I was, yep.
Yeah. And so, but you start obviously honing in on track. I guess before we get into that next phase, I want to ask you, um, did you fall in love with track by working more hard, like harder on it, or is football still kind of like your true love?
Yeah, you know, I fell in love. I've always been a competitor, man, and when I was younger, real young, I loved racing. I just loved running. And I think I've always had a love for running and just competing. So I think it was a natural fit into track and field. And as a football, I, man, I'm almost indifferent now. I definitely miss it. I miss the camaraderie and the team aspect of football,
Yeah.
but I don't think there's anything like track and field where it's a sport that everything is on you. There's no one out there to help you. There's no one out there to hold your hand. It's all or nothing. Do you got it or do you don't? So yeah, I'd say, man, I just I've always had a love for track.
And I really like that you touched on the fact the difference between a team sport and an individual sport. A
Yeah.
lot of these guys involved with individual sports will kind of put it like, the extra rush of it, of like the nervousness of it almost, it like doubles or even goes
Dude,
tenfold when you win. It's like that rush of like it's all you. It kind of
exactly.
consumes people, and it's almost like a drug. Some guys will say like
Yeah.
it's like, yeah. So I mean, of course, you felt that. Can you tell people that don't really understand that aspect of it what that's like?
Oh man, you're about to make me get into a can of beans, man. So man, just with track and field, uh, it is a drug when you're at the top and you're winning and you're doing it all by yourself. And one thing that I learned is that it's easy to make a sport your identity and truly not even know who you are as a man, as a person. Um, and with that being said, man, that was a huge part of my testimony in the fact of just coming to the Lord and making him my identity in those moments because even though I was at the top, I was still unsure of who I was. I was still unsure of my identity, on my purpose, on what I wanted. And it wasn't until I, you know, let go of that part of myself and truly made, the Lord my identity in those moments.
Yeah, it's powerful, dude. I mean, like, I think my biggest question for to play off that is like how at such an intense event like that you're in,
Hmm.
how are you able to balance your like devotion to God and your understanding that He is greater than everything, but also keeping that like that competitive ego you need to perform at a high level?
Yeah, yeah, for sure, man. The balance just comes from reading his word, dude. I always have this verse in my mind. It's, whether you eat or drink or whatsoever you do, do all to the glory of God. And when I'm out on that track, or if I'm out at work or whatever it may be, I'm always having the Lord at the forefront of my mind, knowing that I'm not the one on this track running. I'm not the one who's competing. The Lord's running for me. The only reason I can run on that track is because the Lord's given me the breath, the ability, and the skill to do it. So knowing that I'm doing my sport for the Lord and that the Lord is orchestrating it is how I keep that balance, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's great. I mean, so were you always a very spiritual person, or was this more later on?
I grew up in a Christian home. My grandparents always held a Bible study with my cousins and I had like 25 cousins who would come to Sunday Bible study at my grandparents every Sunday. And it's one of those things where you grow up and you know of God because you're learning about him, but you don't truly have a relationship with him. And I was kind of in that same boat of growing up, knowing who God was, but not having that relationship. And it wasn't until later on where I found myself questioning, you know, my identity, my purpose, and that really is what led me to start growing in my relationship with the Lord.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I went to Catholic school for 10 years, dude. So, I mean, I grew up in the Catholic Church.
Mm,
Yeah, so I understand what you mean when you say like you're learning about it, which isn't a bad thing.
right.
But when you're when you're learning about it from such a young age, it's almost like you don't even think to actually develop a relationship sometimes. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. So um, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to pivot into something else now because this is like a really good conversation.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, and I think another thing is what people don't realize too is you kind of spoke about developing your relationship with God, doing this while also having to compete at such a high level, like literally finding yourself while
Mm,
also competing at such a high level. That I feel like that's like a level of a mental game that so many people won't even come close to, of
yeah.
like that pressure,
Yeah.
what
You
that's
know,
like.
it is a lot of pressure, man. And you just have to, especially as an athlete, you have to figure out what your priorities are. Because if you hold your sport at above the Lord, then we're doing something wrong here. So I think that society pushes that sports is the height of, you know, humanity, or it's the height of life. So we need to hold it at a certain standard. And a lot of us forget the Lord when doing that. So you just got to figure out what priorities are and what's the most important thing in this life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it sounds like your balance is obviously very good, and then I'm sure it's an everyday thing to keep that balance.
Oh yeah.
Know it's yeah, and keep your priorities straight. But without getting any deeper into this for now, I want to
Yeah.
get into your so after high school, right? So those offers start coming in. What's that like? And you're kind of put football on the back burner, track's the forefront now. So tell me about that.
Man, it was surreal, bro. It was surreal. So that recruiting process it's fun, but it's also very tedious because you want to make sure you're going to the right school, and some schools require you to move out of state, and that's a big jump, especially moving away from home. But in terms of that process, it was you know, I had performed at a meet, did really well, and after that meet, I had a bunch of coaches in my inbox. MSU, we had uh, Oklahoma, Alabama, Northwood, where I went, Wayne State, a bunch of different schools. And it's like, man, I'm on top of the world. It's always good to feel wanted. And it's a fun process, but you have to really weigh the pros and cons of each school and what you're trying to go there for. Because it shouldn't just be for sports. And I wish my parents had kind of harped on this a little bit more. You should figure out what you want to do after sports and go to a school that holds, a degree that you'd be interested in too.
Yeah. Yeah, so how did you ultimately come on pick your decision? I mean, obviously you had a lot of
Yeah.
decisions. You got the power, not power four, but that had the power five schools. I mean, especially
Yeah.
it's about SEC schools. That's when it really starts to get, like this is
Yeah.
it. This is so how did you make your decision?
Yeah, man. So funny enough, I couldn't make my ultimate decision because out of high school, I did not have the grades, man. Coming out of high school, I had a 2.0. And with that, a lot of schools were telling me to go JUCO. Um, but man, pivoting back to the Lord, he opened the door for me to go to a D2 school at first. And that was at Northwood University. So somehow, some way, a door opened and I walked through it. So I mean, I probably could have gone to like an NAI school or JUCO, but yeah, my ultimate decision was going D2. And I know a lot of kids want to go D1, but sometimes going D2 is your best bet as well. There's nothing wrong with D2. If you're good, you're good, you're good. You'll be good anywhere. So yeah, that's really the basis of my decision.
Yeah, man. I played basketball at D2 my freshman year,
Okay.
and we were one of the better teams in the nation. And yeah,
Mhm.
people don't like. It's definitely more casual fans, but like
Yeah.
people really do not realize like we scrimmaged D1 teams like we had multiple dudes on our team that either came from D1 or could have played D1, had
Right.
offers. So, and I'm sure you had that exact same experience where it's like, dude, there's killers at every level. Like there's
Bro.
just everybody's got a story. So,
Yeah, everybody does. What school did you go to?
Fairmont State, it's here, it's close to
Okay.
where I'm at, West Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what's
so
up.
yeah, we're actually in the MEC. I'm not sure what was your conference?
The GLIAC.
Okay. So where is this in like northeast?
This is like Midwest.
Midwest. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we played a lot of GMAC teams.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
But
our school just moved to the GMAC too, so that's what's up.
nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We played I think we played Walsh. I remember that one for sure.
Oh man, yeah, I know Wallace, dude.
You guys had meets up there?
Yeah, yeah. Our old throws coach was from Walsh.
Okay.
So yeah, he's a huge Walsh guy. He was a national champion, so he was talking in our ear about that a lot. So I can't forget.
Yeah, nice, dude. Nice. So how did you got a degree? You did your 4 years?
Yes, sir.
And
Yep.
how was that? What was your experience like in college?
It was just figuring out who I was, man. I think it's easy to follow the crowd and have other people tell you who you are rather than figuring that out on your own. But it was good. Northwood, my D2, it was a small school, 2,000 students, and the majority was athletes. So as I was going throughout my college life and running fast, setting records, going to nationals, I was honestly a household name at my school. Not to brag or anything, but I mean, it's just the truth. Um, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that part. Everyone, knew me. It's a good feeling to be known and to know that you worked hard to where you got. But yeah, it was a good time, man. A lot of friends and just a lot of connections that you make throughout your time in college, man.
Yeah. And college, I think, is especially like a hotbed because it's put on such a pedestal when you're an athlete in college. Uh, the parties. I mean, because I mean, even a regular college student can live that college life, but when you're an athlete, of course, it's completely different. I mean, you're definitely getting preferential treatment for the most part.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So how were you able to kind of put those distractions aside while balancing this like in top of the nation career?
Man, that's a good question. I've never really thought about that. I was just going into college, I was humble and I didn't really think how good I didn't think about how good I was. And so when you have that ignorance, it's I'm just having fun. I'm just doing what I love to do. And going through college, I was just oblivious to how good I was, how many people knew me, how many people were, trying to get in my bubble. So I was just living, not really thinking much of it, not putting myself above others, and just walking know, in a straight line. And uh, I don't think it was until probably my senior year of college where I started to realize, like, oh man, like I'm actually kind of like that guy. But
Yeah,
yeah, I definitely say that, just being oblivious to my talent.
protected you. And honestly, it sounds like
Dude,
the
I'm
the
saying.
yeah, the blissful ignorance. But yeah. So then we're transitioning a little bit into of course the pros. You're at the Garden State Track Club now. But is that where you started out? That's not where you started at.
At Garden State, so before Garden State, I was at a North American Track and Field League with that whole group. I forgot. Yeah, North American Track and Field League. I was with them.
Right.
But like even before them, I was just running unattached and just trying to make it, if anything.
And when you qualified, were with North American, right?
I was, man. I was.
Okay, that's what I thought. So you're unattached. Take me through that whole professional process once you graduate, and then the qualifiers, and just get into that.
Yeah, yeah. So coming out of college, it's you're free to do what you want. And yeah, so I got out of college 2022. So 2022 from 2023, I was all solo. I like I did have a coach, but he was out in another city, and I had been paying out of pocket throughout that entire process. So going to different facilities, traveling for meets, all of it was on me. And I made it to the indoor national championships my first year unattached. And man, that almost took $1,000 just to get down there. I was at a New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico,
Yeah.
and everything was out of pocket. Your spikes, your jersey, everything. So that first year it was rough. I didn't have any support. I didn't have anyone helping me out there. Come my second year, that's when I got picked up by North American. And with them, you have to sign a contract. And it was a really amateur league. It was just starting out. It was young. But it's always nice to be represented by somebody. So
Yeah.
my second year track, man, it was just talking with them sending me to different meets and them helping me out where they could. But I think it's really important that you figure out where you can get the most support, especially in the sport you're in. Um, but yeah, that second year, man, I kind of popped off. I joined Madonna University's track squad just to train with them. They had a lot of dogs, and when you're around a lot of dogs, you become a dog, and even more than that. So I was training with them all year, and come outdoor season, I ran the 100 meter at U of M and broke the track, the meet record, the facility record, and ran 10-1, which qualified me for the Olympic trials, man. And I don't think there's a greater feeling, when you're actually working and being represented by people who actually care. And then that following year is when I left North American and joined Garden State. Um, that third year it was rough. I was battling injury after injury, but it was one of those clubs that really support you, man. Garden State is one of the biggest track clubs in the nation, maybe the world. And they literally paid for our flights, our hotels, everything, and just send us around the country and we compete. Competed in Canada, competed in Texas, Florida, you name it, man. And it was awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, so we got a lot of moving pieces here. So I'm going to try to get a couple different things
Yeah.
in these next couple questions. But so we got Garden State Track Club, of course, that you said they take that burden completely off you. So now you're
Yep.
really just focused, honing in on your craft.
Hmm.
And you're getting to now like basically travel, the country, the world, even doing the thing you love. That's got to be obviously an amazing feeling. But you're battling these injuries, like you said,
Right.
throughout all this. So how are you balancing travel, workouts, rehab, and competition?
Man, I would say, you know, especially being at Madonna, they give me a lot of resources. In terms of balancing that is, um, man, especially too, I have a 9 to 5 job. I have to balance that in there too. So it takes sacrifice. Sometimes you want to go out and hang out with friends, or sometimes you want to stay up late, but you can't, especially if you want to get that rehab, uh, go to those track meets, get training in where you can. It takes sacrifice, and you have to be willing to give up the things that you really love to do or really like to do in order to train well, to get rehab when you need it, and to travel the country. It's it's a sacrificial game, and it's one not everyone's willing to take, but life's all about risk and it's all about faith. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when you see some of these guys have like entire families, and you're like, dude, how do you balance this stuff? Um, but I mean, what you're doing right now, 9 to 5 job, balancing a professional career at the highest level. I think the beauty of it is if you can balance that now, then everything else for the rest of your life will fall right in line. Like it should not be, as difficult as balancing, two of these very, very demanding tasks. And so
100.
I want to get right into so the Olympic qualifiers. Um, did, was there like a feeling going into that meet that you were like, yeah, this is it? Or was it just like any other meet? And then also, what is the difference between a trial, the Olympic trials meet, and like what's the difference in the feeling and the preparation between a regular meet, or is there no difference?
Man, the feeling going into it, it was surreal, man. It's like, how did I even get here? You know what? No, the true feeling sometimes is almost like imposter syndrome. It's like, man, I'm here with the best of the best. Noah Lyles is here. You have Fred Curley, Kenny Bednarek, and all these household names that are there, and Sidney McLaughlin, and you're just like, um, I don't even feel like I belong here. Uh,
Were you
but those are,
starstruck at all with some of those
dude,
guys?
I was that first, yeah, I definitely was. Just seeing them in person is just like, yo, what the heck? It was crazy, but man, it was one of those things where it's like I definitely did work to get here. I'm meant to be here, and I worked just as hard as everyone else here to be here, regardless of how, starstruck or how I'm feeling. It's I belong there, but it's still a surreal feeling being at an Olympic trials and you're about to compete against the rest. And in terms of preparation, I think you should prepare for every meet just the same. There's nothing different that I did that I didn't do at any other meet. So regardless if it was a real Olympic trials meet or not, I still prepared the way I prepared all year long. They did have like trainers there that massage therapists there that took care of me. So I think that was the biggest difference.
Yeah. So yeah, Bree, so you got a whole staff basically on hand at this point to work you out and get you
Oh
right.
man, they took care of us, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, tell me. So now we're preparing for the 28 now Olympics, which obviously we got some time.
Right, right.
What are your goals? Let's just take it like zoom in a little bit. What are your goals just for 2026?
Goals for 2026, man. I want to run 9 seconds in that 100-meter dash. It's not impossible, and no one's stopping you but you. So definitely want to run 9 seconds. In terms of that 200, anything below 20.5, I'll take it. And I want to make it to indoor championships again. Definitely some of my biggest goals this year. And with the guys that I train with the coach that I have, there's nothing that can stop me. So, and and the fact that the Lord is leading this way in this direction, dude, there's nothing really that can stop that.
Yeah. And is there anything, I know some guys don't like to disclose, which I completely understand, but is there
Mhm.
anything different that you're looking to add in 2026 that you're training, or you just nose of the grind?
Man, anything different is just running with humility, bro. Just running with humility, not getting a big head, regardless of how fast I run. Just running with humility and running with the Lord.
Yeah. And I did ask this, because you're 100 meter, 200 meter, uh, obviously not like an aerobic event. Do
Right.
you guys track your mileage, like your mileage in the off season?
Ah, no,
Okay, I didn't
no,
think so.
yeah, I'm not doing any. No, no, sir.
So what, like, because like what does like a typical, like, you guys aren't running more than, like, other than a warm up lap or two, like
Right.
you're not really running more than like 400 meters, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, not much. I mean, combined in a workout, yes. Like we're running probably a total of 1,000 meters, but nothing all in one. We're not doing any mileage. Typical workout would look like maybe 4 200s really fast or 8 200s at a steady tempo pace. So nothing crazy, no mileage or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can't even imagine, like people might hear like 4 200s, like of that, and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
what? But it's like I said, it's like the triple jump, the broad, like
Yeah,
that stuff is so high impact on your joints
it
that it's like,
is. It is, man. It
yeah,
takes a lot and it seems like a cakewalk workout, but I'm telling you, when you're in it, dude.
yeah, yeah. And just like that nervous system firing's got to be like, that's a whole other aspect as well.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, yeah, man. We already talked about your goals 2026, 2028 Olympics. Obviously, we got that here in the States. I don't want to look too far into the future, but if we are, what does
Hmm.
that look like for you?
Mm. Oh, like life after track.
Well, I just mean like, because obviously, I know we just said this, but like high impact event, obviously, but some guys are running, especially nowadays with stem cells and everything, into their,
Mm.
whatever 30s, even later.
Oh
Um,
man.
Yeah, yeah. So like
Yeah.
obviously we're aiming for the Olympics here. I guess, yeah, get into life after track. What do you let's assume we make it to the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
2028. Is that, or are we still going for another four after that, or what does that look like?
Man, I don't I might make 28 the last go round. We'll see what the Lord has for me. But I think there's a higher calling on my life. There's more to life than just sports. There's more to life than, doing, you know, uh, things like that. So, I'm really just leaving that up to the Lord, see where he leads me, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And before we completely wrap up, I do want to
Hmm.
talk about, because I'm super interested in this personally.
Yeah.
So I do have to ask, like, what do you think about like PED usage in the sport? Since obviously, it's a sensitive topic. We get that,
Yeah.
but especially in the 100 meter, it's like,
Yeah.
and then what are your thoughts on like the enhanced games?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, man. This is something we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
I think the enhanced games is gonna be very entertaining, and I know a lot of people are gonna watch. I might even watch myself, but I don't know. I'm thinking that it might have a negative impact on the sport, only because if we see guys running these fast times and we know that they're on PEDs, and then we come back to those who are running clean and they're not running as fast, then what's going to be more entertaining, you know? So I think it just comes down to um, just being ethical and having high integrity. And like I said, it's going to be an entertaining thing. Uh, but man, where's the integrity at? I don't completely agree with it. What are your thoughts?
I'm completely against it. Like, I really
Yeah,
like, by all means, like if I'm watching it, it's cool. But I think a lot of
right.
people say, they'll be like, I think people might get bored going back to watching the regular.
That's what
I,
I'm saying.
well, so I'm different in that category. They're like, I'll watch the enhanced games, but like I'm still going to be thoroughly entertained by the natural stuff because I know
Yeah.
I would never do PEDs. So
Right.
like I know this is mono e mono.
Right.
Um, yeah,
I
so
agree.
I think that's super cool, but I definitely I don't think it's going to take over the Olympics in my opinion, but
Mm.
I think like a lot of people too, and this is just me. Well, also I do want to mention because I've done like combat sports interviews, boxers, UFC fighters.
Oh wow.
That's a whole right. That's a whole different because you're actually like you could kill somebody. So it's
Yeah.
like you know what I mean. It's a whole different
Yeah.
um, animal with that. But I do want to say like, and I want to get your opinion on this as well. Like you get the Lance Armstrongs, you and they're doing the HGH and the blood doping,
Yeah.
right? And that's I don't care what anybody says. That's going to have a ridiculously profound effect on the outcome.
Oh yeah.
Um, in my personal opinion, and mind you, I am not a sprinter. I've never like really seriously sprinted before.
Yeah.
Um, in my opinion, I feel like, and I'm still against it, but I think that um, I feel like in endurance events, it has a greater effect rather than in
Yeah.
sprinting.
Oh
Um,
yeah. 100%. I think so as well. Um, just with long distance athletes, I think they see a greater effect with that as well. Just with training and how much volume their body can take, it I think it goes a longer way for them.
Yeah. So I want to wrap this up. One of the last things I want to say is, I you're a sprinter now, of course.
Yeah.
Were you always doing that like your whole life, or did you were you exposed to other events? And then also, what's the one event you would never do off limits?
Yeah, yeah. So before sprinting, I was a long jumper. In high school, I jumped the state meet record and I won states as a long jumper. Went to college as a long jumper. Coach didn't really know how to coach long jump, so I transitioned to a sprinter. And the one event I will never ever do is the 800.
Dude, I knew you were saying 100. So for people that don't understand, because like they're like, I saw some video the other day. It was like, or actually, I saw this like months ago, but it was
Yeah,
like the 400-meter welcome to brutality. This is like the most
yeah.
brutal event. And they're like, dude, the 400 is or the 800 is literally just the 400 twice.
It's
Like it
literally, bro. Why would you know? Like I can't even imagine the lactic acid and the burn, dude. I'm not doing that. No way.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I thought a really interesting thing too was like this kind of this idea of like okay, the 400 obviously an extremely athletic event.
Right.
The 16, the 15 mile, all that, it's more of an aerobic event. Like you got the Jakob Ingebrigtsens,
Yeah.
those guys. Right. So it's like obviously you still have to be an athlete, but like it's a little bit more nuanced. They're
Right.
like the 800 is basically right in the middle. So like
Yeah.
it's almost like some guy said, since there's so much so like sprinting, for example, right? You got the
Mm,
Usain Bolts and the Sue Bing Chan.
yeah.
I hope I'm saying his name right.
Yeah.
Right. You obviously you got disparity, but like for the most part, you got the same you're working the same muscles.
Yeah.
You got more or less the same body types for the most part. um but they said like the 800 is cool because it's like so you could have like a Nick Simmons, like a shorter stockier guy, and then you can
Yeah.
have like a David Rudisha, a taller
Dang.
lankier guy. So like this notion of like the 800 is kind of predicated on like who can work the hardest and who can have the highest pain tolerance.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah. I would 100% agree, man. You know your stuff, man. You know your athletes. That's crazy. Nick Simmons, David Rudisha. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I
what's
mean,
up,
hey,
bro.
the greatest 800 meter of all time, the greatest
Yeah.
heat of all time was that. So you got to
Heck
know that
yeah.
stuff. But yeah, dude, I'm super into like, I mean, I ran track in middle school and stuff, but like,
Uh,
I'm super into like the biomechanics aspect of it,
yeah.
and the PEDs, like that stuff kind of drew me to track,
Yeah.
even though I never did it really in high school. But yeah, dude,
That's
it's
what's up,
super
bro.
interesting stuff.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, man, other than that, bro, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. It's a great
Okay.
conversation. We got into the basic stuff. We also got into the deeper aspects of it too. So
Yeah.
is there okay, ahead?
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate you having me on, bro. And I would love to do, even more conversations in the future. And I'm praying for, what you got going on here as well. It's a good thing, dude.
Thank you, man. Yeah, trying my best over here, just seeing where this goes, man. I have great
Heck yeah.
conversations so far with a lot of people, so it's super fun. Anytime
Let's
we get to
go.
talk to any high level athletes and get their perspective on things, it's super cool.
For
Especially a guy
sure.
like you who seems good head on his shoulders, feet on the ground, humble, and you bring that Christian aspect into it as well. So,
Yes,
thank you,
sir.
man, for doing that. You want to shout anything out before we end off here?
Oh man, I just want to shout out Stacy Latney and Madonna University for taking a chance, and shout out Chuck Schneekloth from Garden State for taking a chance on me as well. So
Got it, man. Hey,
thank
that
you.
was the interview for today. Mason Phillips, thank you so much for being here, man.
Yeah, it was good to be on. Thanks, guys.
All right, yeah.
All right, guys. So there it was. That was the Mason Phillips interview. Hope you guys really liked it. See you guys next time.